Now, one of the biggest questions for new UX writers is, how can I build a portfolio if I don't have any practical experience as a UX writer? And in my previous video, I told you that I don't necessarily recommend using UX writing challenges. So today we will check out another method that may work a little better. Hey everyone, my name is Kat and I teach people about writing in tech. And on this channel you will find everything you need to know, especially about UX writing. So if you want to learn more about all of that, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell. Now in this video, I will show you how you can use fictional projects for your UX writing portfolio. That means you choose a real-life brand and one of their digital products and rewrite their existing UX copy. And this is a method you can use when you don't have any practical experience with UX writing yet, but you still want to prove your skills and fill your portfolio. And using a real-life example for this definitely is a better option than using typical UX writing challenges, because with these challenges, you basically work on one isolated text element with no knowledge about the underlying brand, the voice and tone. You have no information about the target audience, etc. And with that, you are basically not really proving your UX writing skills, because so many important ingredients are missing from the secret sauce that makes good UX copy. And instead, when we work with a real product and a real brand and the real target audience that this company addresses with their products, and then improve their copy based on what we know about all of that, we can prove that we really understand what UX writing is all about and that we're able to write high quality copy and make solid writing decisions. So let's see how we can do that. And I want to show you how this is done by walking you through an example case. And there are a couple of very simple steps that we need to take. And the first one is already the most challenging part, and that is choosing a brand and product that you can use for that, because we need to select a product that does not currently have the best UX copy and could definitely need some improvement. And for that, just keep your eyes open when you use apps and see websites, but also browse for well-known brands and see how good their UX copy is. Think of brands that are known as great, strong brands, but not naturally as UX masters. Most of the time I just look around, check my physical and virtual environment, looking for typical candidates, and usually these are clothing brands, sports brands, brands from the entertainment industry, for example. So brands that have a really strong brand identity, but probably not a strong UX focus. You can also check out the Microcopy and UX Writing Facebook group, where group members sometimes share examples for bad UX writing, which can also give you some inspiration. Now, I hope it's needless to say that this is not about bashing a brand for bad UX copy, okay? In UX writing, UX design, UX research, whatever, criticizing each other's output in a positive and constructive way and with the intention to create better experiences is a normal and necessary process, and it is never meant in a negative or insulting way. So whatever brand we choose, the brand is still great, okay? The love is still there. Now, I chose the sign-up flow of a company that is super awesome, but could use some love with their UX writing at some point. Of course, I'm not affiliated with this brand, I do not collaborate with them, and I do not represent them, and they sure as rainy days in German April didn't ask me to do this, okay? We will take a look at the example of PlayStation. Now, PlayStation is an amazing brand. I love them, I grew up with them, and they had some of the best campaigns in entertainment history, I think. So passionate, so powerful, so creative. So we're talking about a really strong brand here. Throughout the history of PlayStation, there were amazing slogans like, "This is for the players, play beyond, and play has no limits." So super powerful slogans revolving around the concept of playing. So this was one of the brands whose products I've tested, started with their website and found that parts of the registration flow could use some more love or detail from a UX writer, and luckily here is one. So let's do this. So let's first check out why this flow could need some improvement. Now, what we see here at first glance is that the sign in CTA is already a bit problematic. Not because it says sign in, but because the user is not able to see an option to sign up on the first level. Users will only see it after they've clicked that button, which is when the option to create an account appears. But if you don't already know that this option is there, you won't click that button in the first place, because when you don't already have an account, you don't want to sign in, you want to sign up. But there are more problems, which I will get into later. For now, we have found this flow, we have seen that it needs some help, and we're here to help. So let's get the process running. Now, once I found a product and a flow that I would like to rework in regard of UX copy, I can head over to the next step, which is doing some research. I need to know more about the company in order to do a proper UX copy audit. And I need to do a proper UX copy audit in order to rewrite the copy, because what I already know is what good UX writing is. I know the general UX writing quality criteria, but I don't know about the audience of this brand. I don't know about their mission, and I also don't know about their brand voice. So this is what we need to find out about now. And for that, I go to this company's website and try to learn more about their target audience and their brand. I try to see if there are any mission or vision statements that can help me understand what they want to represent. You can also take a look at third-party resources like blog posts or online articles analyzing that brand, so talking about their campaigns, their history, etc. So sometimes you really have to dig deeper in order to find something valuable, but doing this research is definitely worth our time because it will help us to understand the company goals and the communication goals, which also helps us to derive some voice and tone guidelines. So what we do is we do our research and then we collect information about the brand, maybe in a Google Doc or on a Miro board or whatever feels right for you, okay? I usually do that on a Miro board where I collect screenshots, take notes, etc. So in this case, we find the vision and mission statements, which in this case say, we are a company that inspires and fulfills your curiosity. And using our unlimited passion for technology, content, and services to deliver groundbreaking, new excitement and entertainment as only Sony can. And we also find information about the company's purpose, which is filling the world with emotion through the power of creativity and technology. And we also find a set of company values, which are dreams and curiosity, diversity, integrity and sincerity, and sustainability. So let's make some sense of that. Now, what we see on the one hand is a lot of big concepts like dreams, emotions, fulfillment. Then we have these powerful, energetic concepts like curiosity and excitement. And then we also have a lot of professional and solid concepts representing responsibility like integrity, sincerity, diversity, and sustainability. So this is really interesting. And what also strikes me is the sub-sentence, as only Sony can. So we also have a very confident brand here, which I love. Now, what can we find out about the target audience? Well, this is where our little research gets really interesting, because when we dive into the strategy of PlayStation and how and why they even entered the market in the first place, we learn that when they hit the gaming market, Nintendo and Sega, their future competitors, mainly addressed a pretty young audience, while PlayStation wanted to address a new, older target audience. Here's an interesting quote about that, which says, Sony had broken through where so many companies had failed. Their ability to reach new demographics at a time where gamers were reaching an age where they were thinking beyond mustached plumbers. And we also learned that Sony's initial advertising method was to step outside of Nintendo's and Sega's shadow. To do this, they had to reach past the niche gaming demographic and advertise gaming in a way that it had never been done before. So what we learned here is that PlayStation takes a much more mature and grown approach to communication, simply because they don't want to tap into that playful, funny, joyful, juvenile brand image, because that is what their well-established competitors were already doing. And when you research a brand for a case study, I want you to find out about especially these kinds of things, okay? Really get to know the brand. See what makes it special. What's their brand image, their purpose, their positioning, etc. Invest some time, because in the future, this is what your clients and managers will expect you to do. Now, in addition to that, you should also do additional desk research. For example, about the gaming industry. You could also do a competitor analysis, which helps you to understand the positioning of the brand even better. You could take a look at studies that talk about what kind of communication users prefer in a gaming context, etc. Whatever helps you get a better understanding and prepare yourself for writing good UX copy for that specific brand. Now, let's say you found all this interesting information and you collected all of this knowledge and understood what your brand is all about. What you want to do now is derive guidelines from that. And first, what we want to include is the basic UX writing quality criteria, which are necessary, clear, concise, useful, conversational, and branded. And if you want to know more about them, check out my introductory course about UX writing, where we go into detail about that and train applying these criteria, okay? The link is in the description. So this is the first thing that we need. The next thing we need is a set of brand-specific guidelines. So next to ensuring basic UX writing quality criteria, how can we ensure the copy represent the company's brand properly? These don't need to be super extensive, super complex. Just write down what you think these research results mean for your voice and tone of your UX copy. This is definitely something that we can use later on in the rationale section of your case study, so you don't need to write down thousands of rules. Just make sure that the ones that you do write down are precise, spot on, specific, and bulletproof. And when you have defined your guidelines, it's actually time to do a copy audit based on these guidelines. A copy audit is basically a structured analysis of the existing copy, and we do that for the whole flow. And I usually also do that on the Miro board. I just put screenshots of the flow on the board so I can leave my notes here, okay? So take screenshots of the different parts of the flow and paste them onto the board. Now, I take my guidelines and go through each screen to pinpoint the problems that I see. For example, as I said, the sign in only option on the first layer is a problem because it's not clear that with this interaction we can get both signing in and signing up. We also see, for example, the term sign-in ID, which is also pretty unclear, especially because they specify it by putting email address into brackets. So we get to ask ourselves, why not just using email address as a placeholder? Well, very confusing. Then we see that they use title case excessively. So all words in the placeholder, the buttons, the links, everything is capitalized. And you know why title case is called title case? Because it is supposed to be in titles. Links, placeholders, buttons are not titles. So this is hard to read, hard to scan, which means that the copy is not efficient and therefore not concise. Now, when we continue from here, we see a very, very clean state of the flow, which doesn't go against any of our 6 UX writing quality criteria, but it's far too plain, far too heartless for this emotional, strong brand, especially because this is a crucial state in the user flow, because we want to drag the user into our world. We want to take them on board our spaceship and fly them to the part of the universe that we want to show them, okay? We want to show them a whole new world of gaming and fun, and we're not acting like it, okay? So the style definitely needs to be adjusted to the brand voice. Moving on, we see more very clear instructions, or at least they are clearly phrased, but it still is kind of confusing, because how can you verify an identity by a country? That's weird. That's also not clear. Now, when we move on from here, it's getting extra uncomfortable, because here we see that there are 2 text elements solely dedicated to reminding and warning the user that the information they enter needs to be accurate and true. Very important. This is also not concise, because it's okay to mention it one time and one time only, but we don't need to put this here a zillion times. On the next screen, we are again confronted with the word sign-in ID and a lot of robotically voiced instructions that say, enter a valid email address and a secure password. Will send important information to this email address. Your email address is used when you forget your password. Other players won't be able to see it. So all of this is very robotic, very not friendly, not cool, not playful, not emotional, dynamic, which means it goes against our brand voice. And what we want in this life is we want to give this brand the UX copy it deserves. Okay, that's the goal. So do that for all the parts of the flow that you want to rewrite. Analyze them based on your guidelines. Add some notes about what's wrong with the current version of the UX copy. And when you're done with that, it's time for the next step, and that is rewriting the copy. And that also means you will produce some assets you can use in your portfolio. And I know that this is a pretty tough thing for many people to handle, so let's break this down because it's actually super easy. So what you first do is you take the screenshots of the flow. Remember, we already have them because we put them on our Miro board for reviewing them. And if you want, you can do this right inside Miro, but you can also do this in Figma, even in Keynote, PowerPoint, whatever, okay? So what you want to do is you want to draw a shape, a rectangle that we put above the existing text fields. We write our new improved copy in the text field, and ultimately we color this shape in the same color as the background of the UI element that we write on. Now, when you do that in Miro or Keynote, you can simply create a new screenshot of this. When you do it in Figma, you would export this screen. The benefit of creating this in Figma, of course, is that your asset will then have a higher quality probably, but this is just to explain the procedure, okay? So this is what you do. Put a second shape over the old copy, write new copy within that shape, and of course adjust the font, the style, the color, etc. There will be moments when you won't be able to mimic the original font, but that's okay. Just give your best to create an overall harmonic and professional look. And this will also help you to see how your copy would feel in the context of real design. So this is it. You can use this technique for creating assets for a before and after comparison that you can use in your portfolio. And to spice things up a little, you can also head over to Canva and put these assets in a cool mock-up. For example, you can go to Canva, search for mobile mock-up or laptop mock-up, depending on whether you're rewriting copy for an app or a website, and then you can choose one of these mock-ups. Let's say you go with this one, and then you can upload your assets and put them into this mock-up. Download the whole thing, and then you can put it in your portfolio to make this look extra nice. And of course, you want to save all of these assets to a folder and give them a descriptive name, which will help you to identify this file later on when you actually build your portfolio. But this is only it for the assets part. If you want to use these examples for your portfolio, we still have to do one last important step, and that is explaining your decisions. And that means that we describe our rationale. Now, a rationale is a set of reasons or a logical basis for a course of action or belief. And what that includes in our case is we explain our approach, we summarize the findings of our copy audit, we explain our final writing decisions, and we describe the impact that these decisions have on the user experience and product quality. And when you justify your writing decisions, you don't want to write things like, I choose this because it sounds more personal. But instead, what you want to do is work with these three pillars that we already put a lot of work in. And these three pillars are research findings, the UX writing quality criteria, and the brand of the company that we write for. The first pillar, research findings, includes learnings from your desk research, so your competitor analysis, secondary data that you found in studies, etc. Please don't include stuff like, I asked a friend who's passionate about playing video games, because that is not reliable data. So you could say, I addressed the user personally because from studies, we know that that encourages the user to log in. That would be possible, but please make sure that this study actually exists. Then, second, we have the formal UX writing quality criteria, which, as I said, for me are necessary, clear, concise, useful, conversational, and branded. Other sets of criteria also include consistency or other criteria, okay? So when you want to explain your writing decisions with the help of this pillar, you should write something like, this choice of words is more conversational and therefore enhances the quality of the UX copy, because we know that conversational UX copy appears more natural to users, and that makes it easier for users to interact with the interface. Or you could say, good UX copy should always be concise because it helps users to scan the information in an efficient way. And in the third pillar, we have all voice and tone elements of the brand you currently write for. So for example, the level of humor, politeness, formality, emotionality, etc. And when you want to give a reasoning based on this pillar, you might write something like, the brand of this product stands for emotional gameplay and a personal gaming experience. So we want to choose a more informal communication because it seems more appropriate here. Now, you can and should base your writing decisions on all three of these pillars, including all three of them in your reasoning and your rationale. What you should avoid, however, is giving personal opinions like, because the original version of the copy did not make sense or was boring or etc. Or my version sounds more state of the art. But instead choose an objective, structured way of rationalizing your writing decisions, because only that will prove that you are able to give solid, bulletproof explanations of your writing decisions. Now, what I do when I explain my writing decisions is I keep all of this in one place. My writing decisions are just Post-its, okay? I keep them all in one place, all the information, and when I want to create a case study out of this for my portfolio, for example, I take it from here. And as I said, you can also use Figma or FigJam or even Keynote or PowerPoint if you like. Now, when you're done with all of that and you want to create a case study out of this, it could look something like this. You might have a small section where you introduce your case. Then you give a quick case overview and provide the reader with the most important information, such as who's the target audience, what's the brand like, what was the project setup, which is the place where you should mention that this is a fictional case, and then explain what you did. And after that, you can go more into detail, say what kind of research you did to find out about the company and its mission and vision, its positioning in the market, its brand, etc. And then you can talk about the guidelines that you developed from what you've learned here and what the voice and tone of the UX copy should be. And then you can proceed with your copy audit and tell your readers a little bit about what you found out. And ultimately, you can show your before and after examples, okay? And then that is it. And when you create a case out of your fictional project, make sure you keep the descriptive text concise, because nobody wants to read super long paragraphs here, okay? Include all of your images, your approach, and your rationale, and then you're good to go. Of course, this is a video, so feel free to pause here and read this for yourself, okay? So again, these are the 6 steps that we should take here. First, choose a brand. Second, do your research, then derive some guidelines, conduct a copy audit, write new UX copy, and ultimately explain your decisions. 6 simple steps, and I would like to invite you to just try this procedure for yourself. As you have seen, it may take some time, but this approach goes a lot deeper and is much more professional and substantial than just using single isolated pieces of copy, for example, from a UX writing challenge. Using challenges to improve your writing skills, however, is awesome, but using it for filling your portfolio, I'd recommend trying this approach instead. And what you do after that is you should find a platform like Wix, for example, or Squarespace or Adobe Portfolio, and find a good way to present all of this information. I actually created a whole online course about how you can create a UX writing portfolio. So if you want to dive deeper, make sure to check it out. Again, you will find the link in the video description. Now, if you have any questions or if you want to share your experience with this approach with me, let me know in the comments. Feel free to share your thoughts. And other than that, this is a good moment to end this video. So thank you for watching. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, where I also share free tips and tricks about UX writing. And of course, as always, keep on writing, enjoy the process, and I hope to see you sometime soon.